Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining myself and my esteemed colleagues at International Study Programs, who is our ground service provider for our traditional international MBA tours. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ron Mickler, and I'm the Executive Director of the MBA programs at Ashland University. And as I mentioned, we have with us here today two of our partners in crime, I should say, for conducting and organizing all these tours, Lucy and Jeff. Lucy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Lucy. I'm from Prague, and I'm now in Prague as well. I've been traveling with Ashland University with your students for several years now. The last trip actually we did together was back in March, and I hope we will be traveling soon again. But meanwhile, let's experience our virtual tour.
Sure, thanks, Lucy. And Jeff, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us, of course. My name is Jeff. I am not Czech, as you might be able to tell. I've been with ISP for about 8 years, and I'm actually from California originally. And I also have some experience working with Ashland. Did a couple different trips with Ashland. I had a group, an Ashland MBA group in Prague 3 years ago, I believe, 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm quite familiar with Ashland and your crew. So again, as Lucy said, we're looking forward to this experience together, which will be a little bit different, but hopefully still enjoyable and still a good value for you guys and a good experience.
Sure, thanks. So just to give a little bit of a background, we've been working with ISP for over the last 10 years, really, and we've traveled all over the world. The general format of our traditional international study tours contains around an 8 to 10 day tour where we mix in academic content, because that's the primary focus of the tour. The tour does serve as an elective in our MBA program. So there is a very detailed and involved and immersive experience with the academic content of the tour. But also another area of these tours is to mix in cultural experiences. We really want to immerse the students into the regions that we are visiting. And so this is a very experiential and interactive component of our MBA program. And another key feature, I think, is that we afford students the opportunity to network with executives who are actually C-suite level types of, or who are serving rather in C-suite level types of roles. And this really adds, again, that significant world-class value to our students, to their professional development, as well as their own personal development, because many of our students have not traveled overseas, out of the country, nor have they met with high-ranking executives on a global or international scale. And probably the most distinctive feature of our international study tours is that Lucy is always with us when we are on the ground. So when COVID-19 hit, we came together, we meaning the Ashland University MBA Programs Office as well as ISP, to maintain some sort of a component in this unique MBA program. And so with the challenges we faced were obviously, how are we going to keep the cultural component, the business component, the interaction in a safe virtual type of environment? We had to cancel, sadly and unfortunately, 4 tours right off the bat. And so when we were presented with this challenge, we weren't going to stop providing our students with world-class experiences, because global experience is a significant feature that's actually in demand by many employers today. And so I'm proud, as the executive director of Ashland University's MBA programs, to say that we were the first MBA program to create this kind of interactive, immersive, and experiential tour that will be academically led and really strategically led as well by our dean, Dr. Alot Granot. And so what I wanted to do was to provide those who are watching kind of a general overview of the tour. And again, Jeff and Lucy, please feel free to jump in at any time if I'm missing something or haven't explained something, completely capturing all the steps that we went through to get to this point. So really, again, we wanted to capture as many of the features of our normal on-the-ground overseas traditional international tour that we could in this virtual environment. And so the tour, I think the first challenge we had was, which location are we going to pick? Because then once we picked a location, everything else would seem to fall into line. And so we decided, when we launched our one-year international MBA program, our very first tour was to Prague. And so I think we all felt some sort of sense of familiarity, comfort with going, especially in this kind of a climate, to capitalize on everything that we were building into the tour. And so we all agreed and decided Prague would be the location. And so this tour will be beginning in October. October 24th will be the first Saturday. One of the distinctive features of our one-year international MBA program is that the classes are on Saturdays from 8 to noon, and then again from 1 to 5. So this tour will be from 8 to noon on Saturdays from October 24th all the way through December 12th. So it will contain 7 weeks of instruction and experience and engagement and impact and innovation and all of those wonderful features that we have that are part of our tours. And so with the tour, we're going to start off with experiencing or immersing students into the culture of Prague and the Czech Republic. Because not only is it fun and engaging and innovative and impactful, but it's also going to help the students understand the culture of Prague when we get to the business component of the tour. And so we're going to be viewing the main sites of Prague virtually. We're going to be actively participating in a Czech cuisine cooking class. We're going to be participating in a scavenger hunt, and then we're going to also look at a historical overview of Prague and of the Czech Republic. So Lucy, I'd like to start with asking you just a couple of questions. What are going to be some of the main sites that the students will see in Prague?
Mm-hmm. So what we did, we created videos here in the city together with our beloved guide, Hanka. And it will be a live session actually with her, combined with the videos we created, probably some photos as well, and some questionnaire perhaps, and of course discussion with her. So she will be guiding the students through Prague through this live session.
Great.
And I will be probably there as well, trying to maybe moderate or help her with the questions from the students.
Sure. So it's going to be really, again, immersing students into experiencing, what are the main sites of Prague, and like if we were going there, and again, obviously there's no secondary experience for interviewing with customs agents and standing in airport lines, waiting to get on the plane, and as you're tired and hungry and all that stuff. But at least we're skipping all that, so that's one benefit, I think.
Sure.
And then we're just going to get the students right on in there and seeing all the sites. So that's great. So can you talk a little bit about what the scavenger hunt is going to include or entail?
Mm-hmm. So the plan is basically to combine some of the business aspects as well as cultural aspects into this activity. So the students have chance to learn a little bit more about the life in the Czech Republic. It will be moderated by one of our colleagues, and me and Jeff probably will be present throughout the session too. The students, the moderator will explain in the beginning and give instructions to the group, which will be then split in smaller teams, and each team will receive a separate set of tasks, which they will work on throughout the session, let's say 45 minutes. And then they will be also asked to choose a presenter, because at the end, each team will be presenting their findings from the tasks to the rest of the class. So rest of the class can actually learn from each other, from each team. And at the end, we will have a moderated discussion with a local ISPer and expat ISPer. So that's the plan.
That's great. That's great.
And I mean, I would just add some more context to that a little bit. This is actually, we call it kind of an immersion activity / scavenger hunt. And it is something that we've done with our groups for the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. And we really approached it from the perspective of, you know, if you are new to living here in Prague, or if you are new to living in the Czech Republic, you know, what are some of the things that you really need to understand about the culture, about the way things work, about the mentality? You know, what are these adjustments that we need to make as expats basically living here? So, you know, I think it's kind of a cool way to dive into, you know, what are really these differences, you know, understanding the local mentality and how people operate, which obviously informs, you know, how business is done and how the locals, you know, deal with each other and deal with expats as well. So I think the different areas that they're going to be looking into, whether it's, you know, what is the healthcare system like, you know, what is it like, what is this enduring kind of communist influence, how does that, you know, play a role still here? It's quite cool to see, you know, within a relatively short amount of time, within a session like this, with a scavenger hunt like this, to get the students kind of, you know, immersed again and involved in what life here is really like. So we quite like it, and the fact that we're doing it now virtually with you guys, you know, I think it's an interesting aspect of it. That reminds me also, I would say, I thought Ron made a really nice point. I think you made a good point earlier that, you know, we can't replace everything from travel. You know, obviously there is no replacement for travel, but we worked, you know, quite diligently, and especially in, you know, in cooperation with both with Ron and with Dr. Grunot, you know, what are those aspects of travel that can be replicated in a virtual setting? So we felt like with the immersion activity, there are really some things that we can, you know, introduce the students to, with the consulting project, which we'll talk about. You know, that's something that can really be replicated in a virtual setting. So with these things, we're not trying to say, hey, travel is the same, obviously, but there are some things that can be replicated, and we're hoping that, you know, we can introduce students to that and take them through those experiences that they can still gain. So
Sure. Well, thanks for adding that. And I'm sorry, go ahead, Lucy.
I should also mention from the organization part that it will be run also via Zoom, and the smaller teams will be in separated breakout rooms, but still connected with the moderator.
That's great. That is a good point.
Right.
So it'll be I'm glad you mentioned that, actually, because that will be also the same point that the students will be, or the same platform rather, that the students will be taking all their other classes in the MBA program for right now, for this 1-year international MBA program. And so now I'm sure everyone who's watching this is probably, including myself, is very interested in hearing about this cooking class and this cooking experience. And so I would like to introduce Emmanuel, who is going to be the chef / instructor for this cooking class. Emmanuel, welcome. And
hi, thank you.
Sure. Thank you for being here and for putting all this together. So Emmanuel, would you mind just going over what you're going to be doing with our students who do enroll into your cooking class?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Well, I think this is one of the funniest part of the program. The part of traveling involves always the culinary experiences, and I have to say that here in Czech Republic, the food is really special and really tasty, and you will see. So in order to achieve that for the students, what we can do is that we can cook together, and what the best is if you get led by a chef who knows and can explain to them everything about the cuisine here in the Middle Europe, and especially Czech Republic. So we design some menu. We will send you a shopping list you have to have ready prior to the lesson, and then we will connect, and we will lead you through the recipes, and you will be able to duplicate them. We will send you probably some steps how to follow them, but the important thing is that it's going to be hands-on and interactive. So basically, the students will be able to feel it and to taste it as close as they could be here.
Sure.
So as Jeff said, that is traveling is always better, but I think this is the best we can achieve. We did it before with some other groups, and it's really enjoyable. and it's also a little bit competitive, so the students can challenge to each other who got the most beautiful looking plate or something. So the ingredients will be easy to find, will be no, it's gonna be recipes that they could easily follow, and then we're gonna try to lead them as much as possible to duplicate their delicious dish. I'm sure they will love it.
That's great. Now, this isn't a family secret recipe, right? Where we're going to have to drop the students from the program or anything like that if they do nail it, right?
Yeah, they have to nail it because the recipes are coming from family recipes. So
Oh boy.
I'm sure they will like it. I hope you can join too.
Sure, absolutely. Well, in case you haven't seen, I do like to eat, and so I will be happy to join.
And maybe to mention again, it's not going to be pre-recorded. It's going to be a live session with us.
Great point. Great point. Yeah, all of this is going to be live. That is a fantastic point, Lucy. Thank you for mentioning this. So every aspect of this tour will be live. And so, Emmanuel, I don't know if you can share this, but are you looking at a breakfast idea, a lunch, or a dinner, or or a dessert, or some combination thereof?
Well, in the Czech culture, the breakfast is not really like the strongest part of the diet.
Okay.
So I would say that we will focus more onto a lunch thing.
Great.
So we will have some soup, some main dish, and a side.
Great.
And we're gonna try to compress it within 2 hours, so we can discuss what's gonna be the most suitable dishes for the students to enjoy.
Great, great. Well, Emmanuel, really do appreciate all the hard work that you're doing to pull all this together. Thank you for joining us and making this tour more experiential for our students, since we can't physically go abroad right now. So it was a pleasure meeting you. And again, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for joining us too, and we'll see you in the cooking class.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds
See
good.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Come back.
So again, as we have already discussed, incorporated within the tuition are actually all the costs of these tours, whether we're doing it physically abroad. Obviously ISP does a phenomenal job of securing airline tickets, transportation, food for us, hotel accommodations, all of those things. And so there's nothing different with this tour, meaning that tuition will cover all of these aspects that we've arranged and put together for this tour as well. But again, the main component of the tour is the studying component, which is immersing students into the business environment on a global scale. And so we do build in, obviously, the fun aspects of the culture and food, and obviously, in this case, cooking physically. But again, the main feature will be to immerse the students into experiencing what it's like to actually conduct business on a global Fortune 500 company. And we were lucky enough, because of our contacts with ISP and with our dean, Dr. Elad Granot, to secure a company such as Oracle, who's been in the news a lot lately on a positive note. So that's actually timely, I think, for us as well as ISP. And so we wanted to engage. I think another challenge we had when we were designing these tours, what could we do with students in terms of the business aspect? We already had the location picked out. We had a lot of the experiential activities picked out, the fun activities, culture, things of that nature. Now we needed to get down to business, and we needed to figure out, well, what would give the student or the students the same level of experience if we were going abroad, where we meet with around 10 to 15 companies within that 8 to 10 day period. Obviously, there wasn't a way we could replicate that to still maintain the quality, strategic, and student learning objectives of the class. And so we decided, based on ISP's work with other organizations in terms of consulting projects and things of that nature, to really hone it down to one company and do a very detailed, high-level overview of a specific problem that Oracle is facing, and that for which our students could work at solving. So Jeff, I'd like to see if you could please provide us all with a general overview of this consulting project with Oracle.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I mentioned, I've been with ISP for 8 years, so I've seen the business or the academic content done in many different ways, and I've really genuinely always felt like something like this, which you guys are going to be doing, basically something like a consulting project, is the most experiential and is really the best experience that can give you, an understanding of how business is done and how things work, whether it's in a certain company or a Fortune 500 company, as Ron mentioned, or how it's done in the Czech Republic, whatever it might be. So this is personally my, one of my passions, if you will, of working with ISP is seeing students work on things that are real and actually being able to take a case and provide recommendations based on what they learn and what they hear from a certain executive or from a certain company. So yeah, again, as Ron mentioned, I think it's really really cool and really timely that Oracle is on board to do this with you guys. The gentleman that you will be working with is his name is Ernest, and he basically is the sales manager at Oracle. The challenge that he will put to you, I won't give you too much details now, but it's basically a sales challenge, and I think it's also really really interesting and really cool that it's so relevant to basically what not only Oracle is dealing with right now, but with basically any company is dealing with right now, which is essentially how do we do sales, how do we generate leads in this all virtual world. Conferences aren't happening anymore. These face-to-face meetings aren't even, allowed anymore. So how are we generating leads? So again, I think it's really relevant, not only for Oracle, but for any company that's trying to sell, trying to get their services out there and trying to get customers. So, so basically the way that these projects work is over the course of essentially the course of your course. So he'll have a meeting with the students in the very beginning. He'll present the challenge, and you'll do a full session with him that will allow the students to basically ask any questions that they need, get any information that they need, get the premise of the challenge and all the information to kind of get them started. Then over the course of the next 6 weeks, there will be one more meeting, I believe it's week 5, with Ernest to kind of check in with him, make sure that everybody's kind of on the same page and doing what they are supposed to be doing, maybe even kind of bringing up some ideas and getting some feedback from him. And then at the end of the project, which will be week 7, the students actually will be presenting their recommendations to him and their ideas for, again, how can sales be conducted and how leads can be gained and converted in this kind of strange time that we're in. So that's basically how the project works. Ernest is very open to communication with the students, so I think that's a big thing that we think about also when we're trying to get a company or really an individual, an executive on board. They need to be obviously open to work with the students and to communicate with the students. So it's really up to the students to agree on and to figure out the best way to communicate with him, be it email. He's open to whatever the students would like to do, basically. So be it email or through LinkedIn or whatever it might be, there will be kind of constant communication with him. I believe Dr. Granat will be providing kind of guidance for the students basically as they're going through this process, helping them, making sure that they're on the right track and making sure that the students are doing what basically is asked of them. And then at the end of it, I think he's very excited, and he's told us many times that he's actually planning on implementing whatever the students come up with, because I think they're in a position where they're saying, we're trying anything at this point, because they're struggling with this challenge, really. And I literally just had lunch with him yesterday, and he said, we are struggling with this now. So he's excited about what the students can come up with and really trying some of these ideas and approaches. So again, I think it's a good way to understand how business is done and to really basically do business kind of internationally on a global scale, obviously in a virtual environment. So I hope that gives enough information.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you. And what is Ernest's role at Oracle?
So he's a sales manager.
Sales manager, okay. Yeah. And so I think personally it will be interesting to see how Dr. Granot decides on how to assign points for the grades for all of these things, because he's going to be involved with again all the cultural experiences, including the cooking class, including the scavenger hunt, and then obviously, as you mentioned, Jeff, providing that guidance and strategic direction for our students who will be working in groups to then present their solutions to Ernest towards the end of the course. So I think that was a key feature that you mentioned as well, so that we're not just throwing the students into the deep end of the pool, so to speak, and letting them figure all this stuff out. I mean, Dr. Granote, whose background is in marketing, will be able to certainly help our students along the way to present a successful solution, or hopefully solutions with the multiple teams that we're going to have that will be a part of this tour. So, well, Lucy and Jeff, I really do appreciate your time. Was there anything else that you wanted to add that we didn't cover that you feel might be helpful for our students now to try and get a jump start on getting ready for this tour?
Let me go first.
Stay tuned, stay positive.
Sure. Well, I think we're all definitely doing that. So again, Lucy and Jeff, really do appreciate both of your time. If anyone who's watching this is interested in learning more or enrolling into the course, please feel free to connect with me. You can always email me at rmickler, spelled M as in Mary, I-C-K-L-E-R, @ashland.edu. Or you can always call me at my phone number at area code 419-289-5242. Again, Lucy and Jeff, really do appreciate your time, and Emmanuel's as well, if he's still in the room, and we will be talking soon. So thank you. Stay safe and healthy.
Thank you, Ron. Same to you.
Thank you.